So welcome back to more Mega Man X4, where we're going to be taking on the remaining 3 Mavericks. And we're starting off with Magma Dragoon. And in the Japanese version, they actually call the Maverick Hunters Irregular Hunters. And they call Mavericks Irregulars. So that's where that came from. Either way, here we are on the volcano, and this is a very fast-paced stage, but it is also pretty easy to get hit a lot, as you will no doubt see, because I did not do a very good job on this section. I mean, it is pretty fast-paced in the sense that you're going to be having to make a lot of these jumps, and you do have to go at them pretty quickly in order to make through it. And then, let's see, the only real hard part in this first section is to dodge all these fireballs, and of course you got all the meteors. I mean, the enemies here really aren't that much of a deal, or a big deal. You do just have to worry about all these falling rocks and all these fireballs. But other than that, this first area is actually pretty simple, because we're actually almost done just as soon as I stop getting hit by these stupid rocks. Let's see, the second section combines some of the platforming from the first section, as well as more enemies to deal with. Also, if you let that rock hit the platform too many times, it will break and then you can't use it. So let's just take care of this guy. And also, I feel like this is a pretty decent break for me because I'm in the middle of a lot of applications, and you know how those things get. I mean, this is gonna take a while after all because of my ineptitude in making this jump, but there we are. And we get ourselves another heart tank. And see, I think we should be about halfway done, and just have to worry about these rocks. And there's me just getting hit again. And see, here we get our first stint with a ride armor from, our second stint with the ride armor. Our first stint was actually in Slash Beast stage. And then, yeah, the red one and the blue one, and personally I just like the blue one better. And the red one, it does do some good damage, but it is kind of generic when you think about it. Either way, here we find Dr. Light, and we get ourselves the armor. And the good thing about this armor is that you can use a Giga attack just like X2, and that you can just use that only once when your energy's full, and you charge up energy by getting hit more, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Which I guess is a good thing if you depend on it a lot, and a bad thing if you're getting hit a lot. Let's see, the unique thing about this particular boss fight is that you can actually take the ride armor into the boss fight, because here we are fighting Magma Dragoon. Let's see, here you just get some dialogue. And then it turns out Dragoon was actually the one who started this whole mess. So we gotta kick his ass to pay him back for it. And see, Magma Dragoon has some pretty simple attacks. He uses a Shoryuken, he uses fireballs. And then he also likes to do this thing where he likes to go on the edge of the platform and then just fire a bunch of fireballs at you. And then there's this one where whenever he throws that fireball into the lava, it's going to cause a lot of lava to erupt out of that side of the area. And yes, that lava is instant kill, so just remember to keep that in mind. And see, here my right armor's about to break, so I might as well just go all out. And then I end up killing him with it. His weakness is the double cyclone. It doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. It's one of those attacks that just resets his pattern over and over again. But he is pretty easy without it anyway. And then there are people who do like to take on Magma Dragoon first because of the ability to take the ride armor and the ability to just finish him off pretty quickly. And this is actually the first regular Maverick that talks to us after a fight. And unfortunately, it's that old cliche where they die right before they reveal the vital information. But here I got to get myself another item, and we're going back to Web Spider stage. And this is in order to get the heart tank that is in the stage. So that's what I do like about the controls in this game, is that they let you use the X-Buster outside of having a different weapon equipped. But, I mean, that requires some dexterity to get done. But now that we're done with that, let's head off to Frost Walrus's stage. This is going to be your obligatory ice level, and yes, for those of you wondering, he does look a lot like Frostman, who is also in Mega Man 8. And no, he doesn't have that goofy voiceover. Hey, look, Blizzard Buffalo's back. And yeah, they do use a lot of the Ice Mavericks that did end up dying. I don't really know what that thing was supposed to be. And yeah, they have a Blizzard Buffalo, and then Chill Penguin also makes an appearance here. But this is a really nice place to power up in case you want to fill up your sub-tanks. You have a lot of those big energy power-ups. And a life. Always good. And let's see, what I'm doing now is I gotta go down here, because there's another heart tank I gotta get. And there we are. So what I gotta do is just make my way up. So let's see, this part can be a little tricky if you don't have the timing of the platforms right. But outside of that, it's really not that bad. And as for my plans for more Let's Playing, it is going to be kind of slow this month because I am still working on applications to get into different programs so I can actually have a life. And I am going to be working on a lot of that stuff, so the uploads may be a little bit sparse, but at the same time it is for a good reason. Let's see, you just don't want to hit the spikes, that's pretty self-explanatory. If you go up here, there's going to be what's called an EX tank, and this is actually the first game that introduced it. And what that does is it just gives you 5 lives instead of 3 whenever you start off the game. And they actually have an item to do the same thing in Mega Man 8. And I mean, it's pretty much the same idea, except you have to buy that one. Which I did find kind of odd, the distribution of the power-ups. I mean, I don't mind the Dr. Light power-ups where they were, but I just found it kind of odd that you had 2 of the tanks in this stage and then none in certain other stages. Let's see, here we get a mini-boss, and there's a Chill Penguin. And see, this mini-boss is pretty simple. What you have to do is just keep shooting at it, and then you have to hit it in the eye, of course. Its weakness is the Rising Fire. You can also use the Rising Fire to get rid of those spikes. But see, outside of that, this guy's not too tough. I mean, he was hitting me pretty hard, but then again, I did have armor. Now just die already. Okay, I think I was trying to show off that attack. Yeah, that's what happens when you record these things in bulk. But then again, I don't really have much of a choice with the way the setup is. Let's see, here we are in the second area, and the second area is actually a lot different than the first one. You do have a lot more enemies you have to worry about. You have these blocks you have to blast through, which is pretty easy with X. And see, I do want to stay up here because there's gonna be the weapon tank. Alright, I think you can get it here. Yeah, it turns out it's a little bit more further to the right. And then I have to use an aiming laser. And it just fell out of the ice right there. And it basically works the same way as the weapon tanks in other Mega Man games, where you just refill weapon energy and then you get to refill a weapon. They actually have an item in X6 that does the same thing, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So let's see, pretty much what this stage is, there is some platforming, and if you let those birds linger on too long, they will make the stage all icy, and obviously that's going to make the platforming a little bit more tricky, and I'm just showing off the aiming laser. I actually don't put it to that good a use in this stage, but there's actually another stage later on where I just abuse the hell out of it, and it's a pretty useful weapon to abuse. Let's see, Yeah, just a few more jumps to make, then we should be at the boss. Let's see, here's where I'm trying to get something going, but then that jerk-ass who shot me ends up ruining my fun. Let's see, I think all I gotta do is just make this jump, and then we're gonna be at the boss. Now, so you have to do a dramatic dash. I mean, in the SNES games, it would make a lot more sense to do the like jump pose into the boss gates. I know that's been brought up in some other Let's Plays, but overall I like the dash in the PlayStation version because there's like this little after effect. And since Frost Walrus is a cocky jerk, let's just kick his ass really quickly. Yeah, see, I was just trying to get that fire shot in, but unfortunately that didn't go as well as I thought it would. Yeah, but really the easy way to deal with this guy is just to use a rising fire on him, get a shot in, and then when he charges at you, go to the wall and jump off. Also, sometimes he likes to jump before then. And then when he gets to about half health, he's gonna do this attack where he takes his ice block and then tries to find these smaller icicles. And those things can trip you up if you're not careful because the terrain here uses like different snow, or it's all snowy, so it's kind of hard to see those things. Oh, with that, he is dead with some proper shooting. I also like picking him off in the air. That's kind of fun. So let's see, what we're going to get out of this guy is the Frost Tower. It's pretty similar to something he used in the boss fight, but that's like more of a shield. And what it does is that it just generates a big ice block right on top of you. But now for our last Maverick, and this is going to be Jet Stingray. And the thing with Jet Stingray stage is that it is in a pretty different level, and you are going to be playing this on a ride chaser. Pretty similar to X2's bike, except they never had like a whole stage on this thing. I mean, Mega Man 5 did some things with it, but overall it wasn't that much of or that big of a section. But either way, the biggest hazard you gotta watch out for in this stage is pits, and it is pretty easy to find yourself getting killed a few times in this stage. The first section is not really that bad because they're not going that fast, but you do have to watch out for making these jumps, also getting the heart tank, which it's kind of annoying when you don't know where it is, but I mean, fortunately this game is pretty generous with game overs. I mean, you just have to start the area over. It's not really that big a deal. And I almost died there. But yeah, that's it for this first area. So for this second area, you're going about the same speed, but there are actually going to be a lot more hazards. I mean, this time there are no pits, but it is pretty easy to get crushed between or behind the scrolling screen and then one of the other random obstacles. So you do have to watch out for mines. There's that too. Yeah, see, there it is. When I talked about getting crushed. But let's see, you do have to let's see, just make some more jumps here, and whenever Jet Stingray shows up here, I just like to dash into him, because otherwise he's going to shoot off these little stingrays that attack you. And see, this part's a little tricky. And I end up making that, and I don't end up jumping in time. So take two. Fortunately, they are generous enough to give you a health lantern. And might as well show that off. And the boss fight with Jet Stingray is actually pretty simple. What he's gonna do is that... let's just wait for this dialogue first. But yeah, pretty much all he's gonna do is just go to the top and then... let's see, shoot these little stingrays that will attack you. And then he'll do this giant dive at you. Also, what I'm trying to do here is just get him to fly into the ice block. I also like the part where he screams, "Yeah!" every time he tries to dive. And again, I think I tried doing that once. And then for some reason you still get collision damage, so That's one of the things that makes this boss fight kinda unfortunate, but overall it's not too tough. Yeah, see here I'm just trying to figure out the damn timing, and unfortunately I don't really get my distance right. And when he gets to a yellow health meter, he's gonna start shooting red ones, and basically the only difference between the red ones and the blue ones is that the red ones will follow you if you're or if you go down to a different area. The blue ones will go all the way to the wall and then go down. But yeah, Jet Stingray is really not all that hard. It's just that it's pretty easy to die quite a few times in this stage. But outside of that, that's it for Jet Stingray, and that is it for the 8 Mavericks. Well, at least until the end. Either way, we get the Ground Hunter, a decent weapon, but I don't really end up making much use of it. Well, with all that said, I will see you in Part 5.